let's get into what's going on. So thank you so much for taking a minute out for to talk about the album and talk about what's been going on lately. I appreciate it.
Well,
Nice to hear.
thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, you bet. So let's begin our journey with the album. What was the inspiration? What was the spark? How did this project come to be?
Ready?
I can go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there was a particular special spark or something. It was just for us. It was the is it a word in English? The continuation, like the continuity of the first album. We had when we recorded the first album, we still had a lot of unfinished pieces or pretty much finished pieces of music that we just didn't have time to record. So Mezzanine was like the continuation of that and the I mean, for me, it's like the closing of a chapter, like the first part of the lore of this band, like the whole bundle of tunes that we had. We recorded pretty much everything, and we were talking about that yesterday. Like we like now we don't have anything, like any like pending music to record. It's just we closed that bundle of tunes that we had to record, and now let's see what will happen with this project. We'll see.
I think I'll add that um, we're a seven-piece band, like a seven-piece collective, and of course, it's like we've been together for 6 years, but our methods of working together changed because it's like a lot of different dynamics with that many people. And I think the first album was recorded in a more maybe traditional way of like people bringing in compositions and we'd be just we'd interpret them and then record them. And we did have like unfinished music, but we also composed new music for this album. And it's been in a in an attempt to make it more in a cohesive kind of way. Like we all worked. We sometimes we start with like just a simple melody and we just compose as a group and like do a lot of exercises of trying new textures with the different instruments and stuff. So I feel like it's just it grew with us. The music grew with our way of working with it and with each other. So we did have music, but I think that if we recorded the songs that we had for the first album, they would sound very different than what they do sound like now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
It's a
always in. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a more cohesive thing in generally speaking, and I think that that's part of the symbolism of the mezzanine is like a higher level, same artistic approach, but just better. We all grew up as a band, but grew up as individual musicians too. So
I'm always interested in the proverbial jazz math equations. You're above a quartet, but you're below the big band threshold. So, getting everybody together, I always hear how hard it can be for a big band configuration to get everybody together, to get all the ideas going, or to play live because there's so many moving pieces. So, with this kind of mid threshold between, kind of a smaller group and a bigger band, how do you all come together? How does the math work to make this group gel and come together creatively and logistically?
Compromise. But I think we started out as friends. So being together is like we do obviously rehearse and have like professional things going on, but we also do just meet up for like, having supper together or going to shows together. Like I remember when Pat Metheny came to Montreal, I bought like 8 tickets and we just all went together as a group. So it helps, of course, for like the availability that we value our time together.
yeah, like we all have schedule issues, but getting together is not a chore. It's not a like it's not going to work. It's just going to hang
Yeah.
out with friends and by the way, playing music. So yeah, it's fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And I think for the music part, um, I think it's exciting because we we've all studied jazz. And university has a very, I don't know how to say it, squared way of seeing music. Of course, I mean, you study it, so it has to have some sort of structure, but it really helps us as musicians to be in that sort of wide, wide space of creation of just like anything's possible. We all have different ideas. And I don't know, it's just, I think we all value that space of of going outside what we've been taught or what we know we should be doing in like jazz theory or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I think for the composition part, we see ourselves even more like a, a like smaller orchestra than even like a big band. So I think I don't know. We work on pieces more in a cinematical kind of way, like how does this part feel, less than oh, how's the theory behind the different sections, if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. I'm always curious about how the groups and how it gels and comes together because on our end as non-musicians that are just, aesthetically enjoying this music, it's always good to see behind the curtain like how does all of this come together, you know. Again, I don't want to beat the baseball horse around too much, but it's kind of like that, you know. You just see things and everything seems well, but I mean, I've had a lot of friends years ago that were musicians and they'd come off stage and half of them would bemoan the sound check and what was coming through the monitor and all of that. We just don't see it. I mean, we don't feel it. We don't feel the nuance. We don't feel those things when you're a practitioner and you're actually on stage doing it. So it's always good to see behind the curtain. So it's interesting, by the time I get to this point where I'm talking to you about albums, you've moved on, you've made this, you've mixed, you've mastered, you're in promotion mode, you're moving on. But it's interesting that you mentioned that you're just at this point where the canvas is blank. So before we get to what's after the blank canvas, what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this album?
That's a good question. I think this album is it's like many many little stories from I mean, we could reuse the symbolism of like the house. It's something we kind of like many different little rooms in the house. I don't know. For us, yeah, I think it's a comparison a lot of people do when they listen to our album. Like, oh, this tune reminded me of I don't know, like a cozy living room, or this tune reminded me of a mezzanine or whatever, you know. So for me, that yeah, it's many different stories that somehow come together as a whole. I don't know how, but I think it does. Anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's meant for people to not necessarily focus on like the music itself, but more on how it makes them feel and just, travel a bit with this music that goes a lot of different places.
And I think right now, and coming out of America with this kind of clown show we're dealing with right now, I think that art and music has always been a saving grace, not only for us here in North America, but I think worldwide. So my question to you is, before we get into how you're approaching the stage in these weird modern times, what is your perspective on this weird thing called America that's unfolding in the news every day?
Spécial époque, ça.
It's a big question.
Well, I mean, we don't need to get into anything overly political, but it's
Political, yeah.
definitely creating a mood and a mode for everybody, whether
Oh
you're
yeah.
creative or you're just waking up and having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So my question is, how is this influencing the way that your creative mind is ticking today?
Well, I think for a project like ours, well, first of all, we're in Quebec. So Quebec is a little, a kind of small industry in its own because like the French speaking community is maybe a bit closed and you know so we do evolve in this community that feels very separate from the rest of Canada and the States. and like the rest of America. So for this part, it feels well, for my part, I do feel a bit claustrophobic in this small community because, I mean, of course, it's hard to percer the word.
Comment dire ça?
Anyways,
What's the
to
word?
to make it work
Yeah,
as an artist in a very marginal type of music
sure.
in a small industry. And as for the rest of America, it does feel very hard for Canadian artists to go to the States. It's extremely expensive. So most of us just kind of think that it's over for now, like touring in the
Wow.
States, that it's not possible.
Yeah.
Um,
I was on a circus show with a circus company from Quebec playing live music in the show, and we had a whole like a month and a half tour in the US planned. But like I think 7 shows out of 10 were canceled because the visa application were never processed in time.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
That's
it's and it
absolutely
really
heart.
kind of made me lose hope on lost hope on maybe like in the next years touring in the US. I'm gonna wait a few years. Like, every morning I wake up and I'm like, okay, what has he done since
That's what I'm
yesterday? Like I
talking
open
about.
the news.
Right? Like the sideshow. And thankfully in America, especially in Kansas City, we now have the World Cup that's kind of been this euphoric unifier for humans. There's no dividing lines. There's no you're this, you're that. That's been a really good detox for all of us to get away from
Hmm.
this clownery that's happening. But, the fact that it's affecting even the closest of neighbors of ours is
Oh yeah.
bizarre. The whole thing's
yeah.
bizarre. And we all feel like that didn't vote for this and didn't want this. It's just increasingly like even with the Kennedy Center and everything going on, the fact that this is and involve the arts for some reason. Like let's at least just keep some things out of it. Let's keep animals, kids, musicians, artists. Let's just keep them out of this. All right? Just
Yeah.
ground rules.
No, he won't.
He won't. It's not going to happen. But so let's move into something happier here. I'm always curious when bands release albums. I'm hoping that at some point I ask this question and I get there's plastic all over the apartment. People have goggles and there's champagne flying. When you release your album, what kind of euphoric celebration? What ritual? What do you do on May 8th? Was it May 8th that you released the album?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what happened?
Well, I really wish it could have been like this huge celebration. The thing is, it's so long before like releasing an album. When you've done it in the studio, it's like months and months and months of working on the littlest details and stuff. So it's hard for anyone to be like, it's exhilarating, but also it's like, wow, years of hard work. And now the like concretely what happens, it's just that it's on Spotify. You know, it's like, but I'll let Christophe tell
I
you
mean,
what we did
it's like
on
the
May
end the end
8th.
of a marathon. Like the runner, like they all finished the line. They're all happy, but they're all pretty exhausted, so they don't want to celebrate like right now, you know. So-
Gotcha.
and we gotta say the release show was on the May 8th night, so that was for us. That was kind of the celebration in itself, you know.
Yeah, that's another part of it too.
Yeah,
Here locally, you'd mentioned Pat Metheny. I actually
yeah.
live in his hometown of Lee Summit, Missouri. But there's a little club, little bar that we have, and they have vinyl nights. So you can bring in any of your vinyl. And of course, I'm always the one that sneaks in jazz because there's all these different genres. But I always thought that it would be fun to have like a release show where people bring in like you all could bring in the album and your influences that influence your sound or hearkening back to like early jazz sounds that people just kind of have that level because that's the beauty of all of this. There's
Hmm.
so many influences, musicians and listeners. So that would be cool. So I'm curious. um you're at a blank slate now. You've come to the end of kind of this collection of albums. What was the first idea, the first motivating, mitigating factor that started either Mezzanine or the album before that created this chapter of music that might spurn your brains to get to that next place where you begin the next journey into the next album? So what was the idea that started this album?
Um, well, I
I think that
think it's when,
the name of the album it was you,
yeah,
Roxane. You had the idea.
yeah. But I think like we decided at one point that we would rent a cottage and just go for a weekend together. And we were university friends, but it was like the first time we decided to do something that was like not university related or like just the band. And I think we jammed there and we really had fun. And the place that we rented, its name was La Maison Verte, like the green house, like in
Yeah, the Airbnb listing was
the
the green
Airbnb
house.
Oh
listing.
yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, when we came back, we were just, I don't know, it had like a charm. It had a sense of possibility of like, we could do something. We could actually be a band with this weird trumpet violin voice group.
Yeah.
And I think that's the spark. It just came out of we we really do enjoy being together. Like we have a lot of differences, but we also like have a lot in common in our inspirations and stuff. I think that's the spark that was like, I think like we're a band, I think.
Yeah, I think this spark we have to keep it like this little fire to keep it alive because sometimes like you said the hard political times that we live and just the hard reality of being an artist it's kind of easy to lose track of why we do it, you know. We do it at first because we have fun together playing music. So I try to remind me uh, many times why we do this and why we put so much effort in music that is, you know, kind of niche, but
Yeah, I get it.
music we love anyways.
Well, the one thing that I've always admired about Canada is that you definitely put your money where your mouth is. There's a lot of grants, there's a lot of
Mhm.
government support for
Yeah.
endeavors, and I think that's huge. And I think that's a country and a government that's cognizant that that is ultimately going to be the best mental health for the populace.
Yeah, we've been lucky. Like we did get a few grants for both projects. Um, so yeah, we are very grateful for this. And I think I agree as somebody who writes grant submissions for artists. I agree that it's amazing, but the competition is pretty tough.
Yeah.
Like I think it's about 20% of people who get their grants. So and
Wow.
not all of projects can say the same, but yeah, I think we've had like we did not get everything we asked for, but we did get help from the government that we're so grateful. It allowed us to record in these amazing studios with amazing engineers and not feeling like they're being nice for their time. Like we just pay them for the amazing work they were doing. So that's awesome.
So the antithesis to what you had mentioned about Spotify is Bandcamp. Bandcamp is the ideal way to purchase and download music. So I will make sure to put links in the show notes for that. As far as live shows or anything else that's going on, what else is going on? We're in the warm months. What's going on with the band?
I mean, we have a small tour coming up at the end of July, but as you know, it's just a little tour in like bars
No,
in province of Quebec. But you know,
it's a
huh?
nice tour. We have a
Yeah,
nice
it's a
tour,
nice tour.
and
Yeah, I just
there's
wish it
a
was
few shows.
longer.
Yeah, we always do. Yeah, we're looking for maybe I don't know to book more shows. We're 7 people, so it's hard to book.
Yeah, it's that big band question, right? There's a lot of moving
Yeah,
pieces. So let's put your marketing chops to the fire right now. Let's say you were coming to Kansas City and you had to sell your show.
Yeah.
How are you going to get fans of jazz and otherwise in Kansas City to fill those seats at your show? How do you describe the show and energy you put on?
Good
Hmm.
question.
Um, I think, well, I have not rehearsed this, so if it were to happen, I would have a better elevator pitch.
Right. This is improv. It's
But
fine.
yeah, um, our show feels like a house show, even on a big stage. Of course, if we were in Kansas City, we'd probably have less prompts, but we do have like cushions and rugs and like wooden installations to put our gear on, like instead of the regular metal stands or something like that. We wanted to feel like a living room, someplace where, you're comfortable and everybody's invited. And like it has sort of a contemplative vibe. So I think Christophe can explain more about like the music, but for the whole experience, I think it's something very feel good. Like you come and you have music that just makes you go through a whole range of emotions, like watching like an author's movie, something like that.
Cool.
I
That's
don't have
great.
anything much to add to that. It's like I said minutes ago, like the different stories, different rooms in the house. It's pretty much what Roxane said. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think it's well said.
But I think, yeah, we do have a lot of energy. It's like it's fun.
Yeah.
We have a few pieces that really just get us really excited. And I mean, some of us obviously are moodier people, but the whole general thing is that we're so happy to be there
Yeah.
that there is a lot of like energy. Not being in like that it's rock or anything, but and also we do have different arrangements for the pieces live. We play a lot on pedals and stuff. Everybody has their own setup, and we really love sound design. Everybody does in the band, like the bass player, the violinist, everybody. So we do like go even further in the sound design and of course in the improv piece parts too. Of course, live we let a little bit more place for improvisation. But I feel like it's a complete experience, like sound wise.
I love it. I will put links in the show notes to the website so people can find out about the tour, the dates, and then the Bandcamp link. Mezzanine's the new album. It's great to catch up. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Thanks to you.
Yeah,
Our pleasure.
you bet.
Neon Jazz.